I don't think it's crazy to think that Israel's next fight will be for the belt, but I don't know if Sean's next fight will be against Izzy. And if I was managing Izzy, I would say, let's just chill, man. Let's chill. Like, take 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 months off. Take 12 months off and come back as focused and as on point as ever. I don't know if going back to the well right off the bat is the answer. And then the question is, well, then who is it?
This is the biggest star in the sport. That's the biggest star in the sport right now. You know, what argument is there? If anybody has an argument, put their fighter forward. If their fighter does as much for the company as Israel and makes as much money for the company as Israel does, then put your argument forward. But because now Dricus don't know where he is on the landscape. Now anything could happen. Now Khamzat gets a good win. Paulo Costa gets a good win. You think they're going to give the next shot to Dricus, who's been sitting on the sidelines doing nothing?
What's next in that middleweight division? It looks like it has to be a rematch, right?
No? It won't be a rematch, bro. Like, nah, bro. You got beat up for 5 rounds. I don't think it's gonna be a rematch. I don't think so. What do you think, bro?
I think star power. I think star power matters, and I think Izzy is one of the biggest stars, one of the bigger draws in this sport. So I think if he wants the rematch, I think it will be offered to him. But other than that, I'm not sure, man. I think Dricus might have.
Yeah, Dricus or like Khamzat's fighting Costa. Yeah, that win. Really, I don't think so. I don't think there's gonna be a rematch.
I was planning on fighting Sean after, like, trying to get a fight with him after this fight. And now that he's champ, it's gotten a little trickier. It doesn't make sense. Like, what do you want to do? Do you just want to keep... Every time he loses, you want to
just
give him
it back
so he can stay champ?
You know what I mean?
Until he wins it back? Like,
yeah, and then the division slowed down again because, like, Izzy has fought so many of the guys in the top 10. It doesn't make sense to me.
And he's just tying up that belt again. Like,
yeah,
it's just because the fights between Pereira and him locked up the division for that 8 months. You know, forced a lot of guys to fights in that interim, and then, you know, now if it happens again, it's going to get locked up again.
Agreed.
It doesn't make and again, he lost to Pereira, won to Pereira, then lost to Strickland. He didn't defend the belt this time.
No, he didn't. You
know, and there's no reason for him to have the rematch.
I mean, I feel like a little bit. He just got out. He got outclassed. He really did. It wasn't like, man, that was a close split decision. If it was a split decision, then yeah. But there's those other middleweights that make
Chimaev versus Sean Strickland.
Or what about DDP?
Dricus,
DDP, yeah, I forget about DDP.
He's just coming on.
Who knows? I mean, Izzy, I'm sure he wants it. I bet that motherfucker, like, I don't even...
Just give him a break for a little bit, maybe,
Yeah, but he won that rematch with Alex Pereira, and look how much of a storyline that was. Wouldn't it make sense for him to actually want to do this rematch and get it back in blood?
Maybe like, in 6 months, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, give it a little time. Let him defend the belt once.
I think there's 2 stories coming out of Saturday. Number 1, of course, is that Sean Strickland's a champion of the world. But the number 2 story, and it rivals at heart, Dricus Du Plessis is not the number 1 contender, will not be next for the belt, and missed a massive opportunity. Chimaev versus Paulo Costa just became the number 1 contenders match. It wasn't originally. It was a number 1 contenders match for Chimaev if Chimaev wins. And they were going to yank that rug and reveal that to us right after the fight in case Paulo Costa won. But now, because you got a new champion at top, Strickland versus Paulo works all day long. Strickland versus Chimaev, plus they've trained together. It works all day long. That's going to be a number 1 contenders match, and Du Plessis is going to get forgot yet again. If we're going to do a rematch for a match that showed us no reason to do it again, like we didn't need a 6th round, we didn't need a 10th round. There was nothing about what you saw that screams rematch other than one of the biggest draws in the sport just took the biggest upset of 2023. If you told me this physically, Izzy had a bad shin, so he couldn't throw that kick. And that kick is what sets up the uppercut. If it had anything to do with physicality, I would listen. But the sport is all physical. The judges will never look to see, how did you feel? There's no criteria for, did this guy get enough sleep last night? No judges are going to sit down and barter back and forth on, did he tweet too often? This is his 4th fight since July. It's this guy's fifth fight since July, but we're going to leave that detail out. Like, the whole thing gets really weird. If it has anything to do with the mental game, it's fake. History says we're going into an immediate rematch. I mean, the last time somebody took a belt away from Adesanya, we get him right back in there, even though it meant that Izzy had lost 3 times consistently to this guy, 2 of them by finish. Whatever it took to get the belt back around Izzy. So I think that we're going to do the rematch with Sean. But you do have to be able to answer one question: what's going to be different? Why are we rematching them? And based on what I saw, I mean, Sean came out of that ring and said, I don't think he was trying. This is Sean's quote. He said, I don't even think he tried. He was worse than my bad training partners. And those are the kind of things that are going to fire Israel Adesanya up. Izzy is going to want this rematch. He's going to be ready to go. He's not going to use any of those excuses that other people are trying to give him. But guys like you and I, if we're going to do a rematch, do have to wonder what's going to be different this time. I mean, Sean fought him with the wrong game plan, not the game plan that his coach gave him, fought him in his realm and beat him 4 rounds to 1.
When you look at all the contenders, and there is quite a lot of contenders, and there's some very, very good fighters with a decent claim, Israel Adesanya might be the best option for Sean Strickland. Why? Well, because he just beat him soundly. The biggest reason, of course, Dana wants it, the promotion wants it, they call the shots, but more than anything, for Sean Strickland, that would be the biggest cash fight. Make no mistake, Israel Adesanya is a massive star, right? So a lot of people are going to tune in for the storyline. Look at what Izzy did the second time in MMA against Alex Pereira. A stunning knockout that gained the respect of fight fans all over the world for stepping right back in there. So there's a potential narrative that he'll do that again. There's no such thing as losses. You only learn in defeat and other cliches, right? But the reality is, he's a big star and people would tune in, all jokes aside. So that would give Sean Strickland pay-per-view points, okay? That would make Sean Strickland a millionaire overnight. And maybe for Sean Strickland, he wants to put Israel Adesanya to bed once and for all. So there's option 1. Option A, that makes the most money, and if you're speaking to the UFC, makes the most sense. The reality is, the champ gets the colder shots. Of course, it's the UFC's promotion. Dana is the ultimate boss man, but the champ does get a say. So who will Sean Strickland say? Dricus Du Plessis, tough fight. Jared Cannonier, tough fight. Lost to him last time. Maybe he wants to fight Jared because he wants to get that one back, right? Israel Adesanya, though, think about this. There's going to be a lot of people supporting Israel. There's a lot of people online saying that he doesn't deserve it. And I kind of understand that. Israel has lost 2 of his last 3, but he has been a workhorse. He is in good favor with the UFC. The UFC, they call the shots. And for Sean Strickland, as I said before, it gives him an opportunity to shut the door, okay? Because otherwise, Izzy's going to be going around saying, he's ducking me. He doesn't want a rematch. He knows it was a fluke. This would be an opportunity for Sean Strickland to close that chapter, to say, I beat Israel Adesanya 2 times in a row, and then become a very wealthy man in the process, showing real balls, stepping up to the plate once again, as usual, doing what the UFC want, gaining the good favor of the UFC, earning shit tons of money, and the respect of fight fans all over the world. Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya 2, that's probably what we're gonna see.
Comentários também, falando de uma revanche, né, imediato aí, o Sean Strickland e o Adesanya lutar novamente. Na minha opinião, eu não concordo. Quando foi comigo, eu tava de acordo, né, porque, eu tava ali perdendo a luta e eu consegui nocautear ele no último round, então foi uma parada assim que foi totalmente diferente, então por isso ele merecia, mas agora, o Sean Strickland superou, né, todas as expectativas, muitas pessoas que não acreditavam agora estão acreditando e, eu acho que se não acreditar também aí é problema de cada um, mas eu acho que ele tem que seguir aí, vir outros atletas para estar desafiando ele e o Adesanya acho que descansar um pouco aí, né, porque é um cara, também não vamos tirar o mérito do cara porque o cara perdeu, né, mas é um cara que acho que em um ano aí fez 4 lutas, eu acho que ele tem que descansar um pouco do seu corpo, a sua mente, né, para estar voltando aí, fazer uma outra luta, né, para depois estar vindo aí buscar, né, esse cinturão novamente e tentar algo aí contra o Sean Strickland, mas eu acho que com esse estilo aí que o Sean Strickland impôs, eu acho difícil o Adesanya recuperar esse cinturão.
I think you do the rematch, absolutely. I mean, the rematch is interesting. That could be the thing too. You know, when you think about you're going into the Pereira fight, such a big fight, You know, and you've been in there with this guy so many times, and then you overlook Strickland.